What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a little bit since I posted a video on here, but there's finally something worth posting a video about. Um, the new event is coming up, Outbreak. Uh, Reason I haven't really been posting videos is the build times that some of this stuff is having. You can see this is 3 days in. This was a 9-day build time. I just finished getting Fleet Bay up to 12, and these things just take a credible amount of time. I mean, I think Fleet Bay 12 took 8 days or 9 days. I think it was 8 days. The ship build that's going on right now is a 9-day ship build. So, pardon the long delay, but there's not much to keep me interested in playing the game because I can't even refit a damn ship because I'm building one. But that's all changing. We got the Outbreak event coming up, and this shows us the new destroyer, which is just another incredibly fun looking ship. uh, so we get the standard destroyer modifiers of the 150 range and the alien resist to 40%, but we also get that fantastic health and repair time. As well as 4 weapon slots, 2 armor slots, 3 special, and 1 shield right off the bat. So, just a phenomenal looking ship. It's going to be another fun toy to have. It's going to destroy bases. I was hoping for something a little bit different than this about the destroyer, but can't complain too much. The event also has the rest of the Tier 6 lineup. So, the Annihilator Battleship, the Decimator Cutter, and the Punisher Cruiser. So far, I'm getting the most utility out of the Punisher. It is just a beast of a ship. The Annihilator battleships, I have 2 of them. They seem to do pretty good with the Reapers. Really still trying to get that to be a better system, but we'll see now. And the Decimator Cutter, I don't even have a single one yet. I just no time to build them. The utility of the Punisher and the Annihilator has been so much better. The Decimator seems to be a type of ship you got to have in a fleet of its own, and I don't have the time to build an entire fleet of those. That would probably take 2 months. You also get the Damocles Destroyer blueprint. I picked it up one of the last events, thinking I could build them, but I haven't had any time to even build one, so I wouldn't pick it up. If you guys, it's probably 1,000,000 points, and if you're looking, the Exterminator is right there. I mean, you can see the Damocles right here. 3 weapon slots, 1 armor, 2 special, and 1 health. So you get an extra weapon, an extra health, and an extra special. And the health, I mean, the 700 health for a 13-minute repair time. This is 3,000 for a 300, or for a 30-minute repair time. 260 speed, 15 turning, 140. 200 speed, 15 turning, 120. So the speed is definitely better in every way. I mean, the ship is just leaps and bounds ahead of the tier 5 stuff. So we then get the Shatter Driver. This is a new Xeno Division only ship weapon. It looks interesting. Long range projectile that blows apart on impact into multiple projectiles hitting at targets behind it. So it sounds like it's got a pierce to it. Not sure how that's going to work. I see situations with players this being pretty useful, but not too much with enemy fleets unless you can fly away, kite them, get them kind of grouped together, turn around and shoot, which maybe is what the Cutter's coming in for, but they kind of want you to do this with the Destroyer. And that's always the weapon is released with the ship they expect you to use it on, so we'll have to just get it and see. I mean, it's a new weapon. We don't know what it really does, what it really looks like. We do know that the DPS is pretty low for a Xeno weapon, and the mass is about where we expect it. Rather slow projectile, and the 5,200 speed is nice. You start comparing that with some of the things like the Neutron Driver, which is the other projectile weapon that was the Destroyer anti-base projectile weapon before this, and you get 4,006. Even if you compare that with the, what is it, the Siege Driver. The Infernal Wave Driver is a another big one. That's like 4-8, so you're getting around there. I think the Siege Driver is 5,000. I'm probably just not seeing it here. I thought it was a blue weapon. I think it was green. I guess it is green. So yeah, it's 5,000 for Siege Driver. So a little bit shorter than the Siege Driver. So no matter what you do, it's always going to be a little bit shorter. But still could make up for that in DPS, because we know how some of these Xeno weapons are insane. And you get tier 1, 2, and 3, and just the only thing changes is the mass and the point cost. We also get a new Xeno only special. So it's Xeno and Destroyer only, actually. So it adds repair time, so you know it's adding health, and it's adding 1,000 health for a special, which is insane. It adds 5% weapon mass. It adds speed, projectile resist to the armor, as well as increased module damage, so it makes base hitting even more powerful, which is really where the Shatter Driver is going to be a champion, because you're going to hit the one part of the base, the one module, and it's going to blow up behind it and hit all the other ones behind it. So you're going to be able to pierce bases with this thing. This thing is going to just tear bases to pieces. And if you saw any of the test Xeno bases that were out there, you're going to need it. They looked insane, but they were insane. You could still hit them, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So tier 1, 2, and 3 of that as well. We then get an old school, the Volatile Fuel, a battleship only special that basically doubles weapon mass for a 400 meter AoE radius bump. Not sure how this is gonna play out. It was a long-term favorite. You couple this with something like the Manifold Missile, and it was just incredibly destructive. And I was using Manifold Missiles for a while. In fact, I got a bunch of battleships with them all in there, but the weapon mass increase is significant, so not sure if anybody did the calculations on it. I don't know. I'll probably end up getting maybe tier 1 of it, because tier 1 you get 25% and 200 AoE radius, so it scales nicely for all the different levels. The Neutron Driver is like I said, the Destroyer only, previous one of the other big projectile weapons. It was just a nice projectile weapon with some good speed and an AoE added on to it. So it was a great base destroying weapon. It was fun to have. Then we get a box that's just labeled crafting. So that's a bunch of tier 4 cores, tier 3 and tier 4 cores, 2 and 3. The gold event prize box, which looks interesting. There's the Valhalla Carrier, the Zeal, Komodo, and Lance, the Bomber Wings, and the Aurora Ray credits. The Bomber Wings might be something useful, but these are the base ones, so don't get too excited, since they're wings. The Silver Box, Interceptors, and Vector Torpedo turrets. So again, all base defense stuff, but you get the chance of these ships. But the only carrier you're going to see a chance of is the Valhalla in here, which it's good if you need a carrier, but I wouldn't try to aim for it. The first carrier you get, I can't remember the name of it, gives you the agility field. This gives you the ion field, which I think gives increased shield damage for anybody that's in the range. Not incredibly useful. I find the agility field to be a much more useful thing in any fight. So I'm not thrilled with any of the prize boxes. And then you get all the resources and whatnot. And that's just kind of the new standard that they're offering. The one big thing about this event is you are going to have alien hives, or alien bases that you can hit, as well as the hives and everything else, and probably in-planet fleets as well. The alien bases were interesting. They had a test event running yesterday where they had some of the event bases up that you could go in there and fight them. You couldn't win any points. Not sure if you got any prizes for destroying the bases. I guess you Might have, but when you completely destroyed a base, it looks like they gave you some sort of a prize box depending on the level. The bases ranged in level from 50 to 90, I believe was the highest I saw, or 80 maybe. They're huge bases. They're 10-minute fights, and they're actually not incredibly overpowered. I was playing around with just some of the different options. This little fleet of broadsword destroyers, a couple of them are insta repairs, but there's a couple of them that aren't. They were surprisingly effective with just siege driver ones. The iridium magnets really helped a lot because the speed on those siege drivers is just so painfully slow. But it was able to get in there and actually do some damage. I was thinking that a insta fleet of these things could actually do some damage, because unlike some of the previous events, if it stays true in this last test event, when you hit the base, the pieces didn't respawn. So the base stayed damaged. So you could probably hit it a couple times with a couple different waves, and you could actually do some decent damage. They had projectile weapons were kind of the most common, as well as alien long-range beam weapons. So those did hurt, but not. They weren't one-shot kills. It wasn't like you were fighting a level 50 Reaper fleet or anything like that. It wasn't like a barrage hive. They were, reasonable. This fleet took out, I want to say, like 7% of a level 60 base. So it wasn't. It really wasn't reasonable. So I mean, you could hit it with 2, 3, 4 of these fleets, and actually do some damage. The metaphase shield did its job. The projectile weapon they were using, I believe it was the Gemini driver or something close to it, so you could dodge some of those projectiles. They weren't incredibly fast. The alien laser beams were, the consistent hitters that hit with it, but the whole tactic of using a decoy up front and having your bunch of destroyers behind it seemed like it would probably be an effective tactic for this event. Now, whether you get any points for destroying 7% of the base or even just damaging the base, that's to be seen, because we have no idea. The event didn't even give any points at all for anything. It didn't give you any idea of what the points were going to be, so we'll just have to wait and see. But you did look like you got a prize box after completing the bases, and it looked like you got that prize box probably from destroying the entire base, or maybe just the core. I didn't get the destroyer core, the base, I didn't get it too. But the prize box had resources in it with a chance of a Damocles destroyer, and some of the other items were other ships and other modules, and I believe I saw Xeno armaments in there, as well as patterns and whatnot. So it looks like you're going to want to hit bases. You're going to want to hit a lot of bases, and you're going to want to do as much to them as you can. The other thing with the bases is they did vanish after some period of time. So I was hitting one with a couple different waves of fleets just to try and whittle it down, and it all of a sudden vanished. I'm not. There must be some sort of timer. I'm just not sure what it is, but they do vanish after a certain amount of time. So if you're gonna be hitting one repeatedly, you want to try and find one that's new, or try and snipe somebody else's. Might be a good idea. Not sure how that goes, but it was an interesting idea, and it was nice that they had the event going at the beginning, so you could actually get on there and try and see what it looked like. With the fleet by 11, this will be the new fleet we're probably going to be trying everything with. Managed to finally break 70 on a fleet with fleet by 12, actually. Still, such tight weight restrictions. The fully loaded Annihilator battleships, with just the regular level 3 disruptor rays, come in at 11,000 mass. Punisher, with these comes in at 11,000 mass. This Punisher with the disintegrator rays, the Xeno disintegrator rays, again, 11,000 mass. I had to take this one and take all the armor off of it just to get it to fit inside the fleet. You can see how close we are, right up to that edge of the mass limit. So I can't put another ship in there. I can't put a carrier in there. I was playing around with putting a carrier in there and some sort of other non-Xeno ship, and I played with that a little bit during the test event they just had. Some interesting results. The carrier seemed to just the extra fleets, the squadrons from the carrier did soak up a decent bit of damage from some of the other Xeno stuff. However, the loss of DPS was significant. So I'd be losing, best case, 400 DPS to add in a carry that's just going to soak up a little bit of damage with the squadrons. And they weren't dealing much. I mean, the carry that I was using was, the Valkyrie carrier. So I get a 300 DPS on the squadrons, but the squadrons are getting blown out of the water right away. So there wasn't much you could do. And all the squadrons are kind of the same, or all the carriers are kind of the same with DPS, and so you start getting some of the higher squadrons and some of the better fleets. So it was an interesting event. I'm still toying around with how best to utilize this new setup. I really wish I could have something a little bigger in here because this mass limit is killing me. Because the ships here can get bigger. I could fit more armor onto this one. I can fit 2 more armor on there, but that gives me an extra, 3,000 mass. It just doesn't fit in the fleet. So we shall just have to see how this goes. They are offering the refit discount, 20% faster refits coming up with the event, but looks like I'm going to be stuck with a ship build that's still trying to wind up for another 2 days. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. That's going to piss me off because I have so many ships that need refitting. Just ships that are empty. I mean, here's 2 Lance Destroyers, 3 Lance Destroyers, 2 Grinthing Cruisers, a Dread Battleship, and just so many other ships that I want to refit and actually put on. Even my Annihilator battleships, only one of them has the beam capacitor on it. The other one has... Oh, no, I did get both of those on there. But I have some other ships that don't even have Focus Optics 3. Yeah, Focus Optics 2 on the Punisher Cruiser. And it had the weight for a little higher one, but I just don't have the time to refit any of this stuff. Actually, I think the other Punisher Cruiser... Yeah. There's just no time to refit these things. And that's kind of what we're still running into. A refit bay would be such a nice addition, but... doesn't look like Kickside wants to give us to us. I'm going to be trying to live stream a little bit at the beginning of the event. We'll see how it goes. But maybe we'll get some more events now that I can actually take part in some of them. We have an 8-day upgrade for the weapons lab, or the arms lab. I'm ending up hitting a lot of requirements not being met for some of these weapons. It wasn't the Nova Ray. It was... what was it? It was some of the fleets and even some of the base weapons. I can't even equip a Gladius Driver Turret 3 because I don't have the correct prerequisites. And it doesn't show you them here, but I don't have the prereqs to equip the Gladius Driver Turret 3 because I need to have Kinetic Driver 4. And same thing with some of the wings. Like I can't even equip Bomber Wing or Bomber Squadron 3s to my carriers because I need to have Arms Lab 10. So just hitting up at a bit of a bump with the Arms Lab, and then going to have to eat the bullet and upgrade the ship factory for 8 days just so I can upgrade the bridge again, because to get Fleet Bay 13 you have to have a bridge 12. So that's where it goes. And then storages are going to have to be upgraded again to get the bridge and max those out, because I still have a couple of storages that aren't quite maxed yet. and I'm going to build some more because this is not even close to enough that's going to hold everything. We're at 500,000. You need like 1 billion resources. Like that was exactly 550 million was what we needed for the last Fleet Bay upgrade. It's just insane amount of resources, insane amount of time. They're really trying to get you to coin. Yeah, it's not the greatest, but we'll see. It's going to be a little bit more fun with the more ships in the fleet and the larger availability of some of this fleet stuff. So look forward to seeing you guys out there. Get out there, get some points. Have a good one.